I want to start off telling you in the NWA what this isn't. This isn't a rant. It's not a one-sided shouting match. This isn't a bitch and moan session. It's not a call to boycott. It's not a call to proverbial arms in any way. I'm a fan of the National Wrestling Alliance. I'm not an opponent, and a fan of many of the talent and staff who work there with you and for you. I celebrate your triumphs, including the step up to the CW app. I was very happy to hear that that was something that the NWA was going to do. What this is a criticism of your near total lack of communication on how non-US fans are to watch the NWA, and also a criticism of how when you did communicate, which has largely been within the last 24 hours or so, um, it was unofficial, and even prior to that 24 hours, seemingly dismissive. And well, it felt like you big timed those of us outside the US. You were throwing a party, and we didn't get an invitation. We'll get into this. But in the meantime, I do want to say that a shout out is in order to those people within your organization who did speak to the issue that we're talking about today, both on camera and both in camera, if you understand my meaning. We appreciate you talking to us and communicating what you could, uh, from an inside perspective and even in an unofficial capacity. I think it's important that I tell you who I am. I'm obviously not a big name or any kind of insider in the wrestling business with any pull whatsoever, but I'm more than a fan. I'm a content creator. I man the controls of a podcast dedicated to promoting your product. I traveled with my wife 1,000 miles to NWA 75 to St. Louis. I buy your merchandise. We got the sweaters, my wife and I. We bought the hats. We got the T-shirts. We look, man. I got the pins. We bought everything. And I watch your programming. I'm also a Canadian, and I do this, and you'll forgive me this part because it's important to me, to be a fan of the NWA and to tell this particular story. For those of you who don't know, 4 years ago, just over 4 years ago, a couple of days past that, I had a heart attack, and it took me a long time to recover. And in that time, when I was sitting at home doing nothing, wondering if there was going to be, another one on the way, or, just generally wondering about everything, I need something to look into to keep me occupied. And I sat there on my phone and my tablet and I scrolled through the NWA, which I have been a fan of my entire life. And 8 months after what amounted to about a year and a half of recovery, really good friend of mine, one who I went to see Ric Flair back in the day defend the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Wahoo McDaniel at a place called Varsity Stadium in Toronto, reached out to me and said, "Did you know the Rock and Roll Express just won the NWA World Tag Team titles?" And I said, "What?" And that led me to Alliance Gold, where I loved the belts. I loved your belts. I don't know if you know precisely how many belts there are. I could tell you that number, but that's not entirely important right at this particular moment. What is important is to telling you who I am. That led me, that moment, that phone call led me to the Alliance. The people that are in this chat right now, the largest single body of NWA fans I believe, that there are in the world. It led me to a gentleman called Jason Cayley, JCal, our leader, and to the two gentlemen that I do a podcast with about your product now. I became a content creator because I latched onto the NWA. I'm a content creator now because my NWA fam are important to me. And I tell you all of this because I want you to know that your promotion, your product means a lot to me. Probably more, I would hope, than the average fan. And I hope that helps you understand where I'm speaking from tonight. I also think I can reasonably say that I'm speaking concerns voiced by many NWA fans from Canada to the UK to Australia to Indonesia to Germany, really all over, including fans of the NWA in America who echo my concerns. So what's this all about then? When you jumped to the CW, you didn't tell me how I could watch in Canada. Before about 24 hours ago, give or take an event or two, I didn't see anything where you told anyone anything about how to do that. And we were asking. Those questions largely went unanswered, and we got worried. I'm talking about your fans outside the United States. As time went on, we got really concerned. And when Joe Galley and Kyle Davis, both who I have the utmost respect for in their professionalism on camera, went on the NWA live stream and said they'd heard people use VPNs. They didn't know anything about that, but VPNs are used. We've heard that used before. We got pissed off. Was this the approach that you wanted to take to your fans around the world? To us, look, the world's heavyweight title, it has 5 flags on it. 5 of them. Currently, only one of those flags is applicable to your company. 4 of them can't watch anymore. Were you saying that wrestling as it's meant to be is for Americans only? No, certainly not. I wouldn't accuse you of that. But in the absence of an official answer, that's what we had to go on. It made many of us bitter. I'm going to read you, I've been given permission to do so, some messages from Fiona, who's in the chat. She said that, and I want you to say, understands, she's speaking for really quite eloquently for several of us. I'm so utterly disappointed and pissed off, she writes, at the complete lack of communication. Read the pay-per-views and for international viewing. It's abysmal. I've stopped wearing my merch in protest. She said, if there had been some form of official communication, and I literally mean anything, even if it was just to say, sorry, we don't have a show available for overseas viewing, I'd be less pissed off than I am. Yeah, this is a woman, a member of your fan base, who was involved in an NWA podcast in a part of the world where you don't have a presence. I don't have to tell you who Fiona is. You know who Fiona is. All of you do. She's come from the UK to your events. She's should be important to you as a fan. And before, I believe about 5 hours ago, I don't think she'd been told anything by anybody. Something that exacerbates the problem that we have here is the removal of the NWA pay-per-view content from Fight or Triller or whatever it's called now. So I don't know about everyone around the world, but I paid a membership for that, and now it's gone. From a business perspective, I can understand why. But again, what I can't understand is the lack of communication over it. let's take the fan aspect out of this entirely and say what it is that we really are. We're your consumers. We're your customers. If you take away something we pay for and never talk to us about it, I don't know what to think. You've excluded some of us from watching your product in a financial decision, which I can completely understand. But then you didn't talk to us about it. Are you seeing a pattern here? Is this how treating your customer with, is this you treating your customer with the service that we deserve? James H. Jackson Jr. is a massive NWA fan as well. And he said recently to you guys, at you guys, I thought on a lot of things, and unless you return the pay-per-views I paid for, spoiler alert, I bought them all, and seriously address the overseas situation, spoiler alert, on the official NWA page, it says it won't be watchable overseas. If you can't address either of those situations, then I too am taking a knee and won't be watching. I bought all of the merch, all the pay-per-views, and if the owner of the NWA can't address us these matters, it's piss poor as far as I'm concerned. When you went into this deal, NWA, someone asked you, I'm sure, how we'd be served outside America. You didn't know the answer. But the value of the CW app deal is worth more than the loss of your international fans. That's clear. That's business. A decision was made. To be fair, I believe that you are working on options, which is what I've seen in the last 24 hours in response to comments here and there around Twitter. But you should have worked this out before you signed the deal. And you should have communicated with us with a simple, we are working on the issue. We want you to know we are addressing it. That style of press release. I know that we heard that on an alliance program in an unofficial capacity by someone who knew that something had to be said. But I hadn't seen anything brought to the NWA fam that watch on any official capacities. You didn't talk to us. Beyond losing the pay-per-views on Fight, beyond non-U.S. residents no longer be able to watch, beyond the frankly tone deaf, rather flippant, oh, I hear people get VPNs comments. You didn't talk to us. Like I said at the beginning, this isn't a call to arms. I have NWA fam friends in the USA who said, I'm not going to watch until we can all watch of their own accord. I'm not wearing this merch in protest of her own accord. I'm not watching until you make it right of his own accord. I myself took a knee from this little program last week from this show because I don't want to talk about the NWA until the NWA decides they want to talk to me. Until the NWA includes me and the others who are in the same seat I'm sitting in your broadcast plans. I'm not calling on anyone else to boycott. People can do and will do what they want in solidarity, and they can continue to support the NWA without any rancor, vitriol, or detrimental word from me. But I am telling you, and I didn't know this when I started writing to you, what I'm reading right now, I won't be talking about your promotion myself. I won't be wearing your merchandise. I won't be attending your shows. And I'm not going to buy a goddamn VPN at my expense to watch your product. I'm not going to talk NWA until the show is available to the people represented on your belt. Until then, you may as well have our very worthy, very capable world champion replace the 10 pounds of gold with the NWA United States title, because that's the only area that you serve as of February 6th. I've enjoyed the NWA since Lightning One took over. I've celebrated the good, I've shrugged off the bad, and I've ignored the downright ugly. I've watched what you've produced, and I've heard what you've said. Now it's your turn. Are you guys hearing me?